Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. High above the rolling hills of Baden-Württemberg, wrapped in the shifting mist of southwestern Germany, sits a stretch that challenges the very boundary between the reality and myth. Emerging from the clouds like a fairy tale illustration is an island in the sky, a cosmo fortress of turrets, ramparts, and Neogothic spires sitting atop an isolated mountain peak. It looks like a Hollywood set, or perhaps a medieval illustration from a book of romantic legends. This is the born Hohenzollern. To the casual tourist, it is the ultimate fairy tale castle. But don't let the romantic servants fool you. This mountain has been a theater of war, a symbol of ultimate political ambition, and the cradle of family that built the rise from obscure Swabian course to rule an empire, that dragged the world into a cataclysmic war. This is the story of a fortress that died twice, only to be resurrected as an ultimate propaganda piece. To understand the castle, we have to travel back nearly 1,000 years. By the 11th century, a minor noble family had established a stronghold on this very mountain peak, 855 meters above sea level. They called themselves the Hohenzollerns. In the medieval world, geography was a destiny. If you owned this hill, you owned the trade roads below. You were the king of the castle, quietly, literally. But being the local bully means everyone else wanted to knock you off your perch. And in 1423, the neighbors did just that. Encircled by a coalition of rival Swabian cities, the first castle was starved out during a brutal 10-month siege. When the gates finally cracked open, the victors didn't just capture the castle, they thoroughly smashed it to pieces. But you can't keep a good dynasty down. By the later 1400s, a second, far more formidable stone fortress was constructed. It became a vital strategic port during the 30 Years' War, changing hands from the Catholics to the Swedes, and eventually to the mighty Austro-Habsburgs. However, by the end of the 18th century, the military landscape had changed, and canyons grown bigger, warfare became global, and this mountaintop fortress lost its strategic edge. The Austrian garrison packed up and marched away, and then the forest took over. For decades, the castle was abandoned. Locals came up here to scavenge stone for building material. The great fortress became a hollow, grumbling ghost. Enter crowning prince Frederick William IV of Prussia. In 1819, while traveling through his ancestral lands as a young romantic, he climbed the rude mountain. He looked at the clapped walls, looked out at the sunset, and made a grand vow. I will build it again. By the 1850s, Frederick William wasn't just a romantic prince, he was a king of Prussia, and his family was on the verge of doing something extraordinary, unifying Germany. Now, why would a modern king spend an absolute fortune rebuilding a medieval castle on a remote mountain where he didn't even plan to live? The answer is simple: public relations. This wasn't built to be a military bunker. It was built to be a family monument. It was a physical manifesto in stone, shouting to the world, look at our history, look at our ancient roots. We are the rightful rulers of a unified Germany. To realize this royal dream, the famous architect Friedrich August Stoller was hired. He designed a masterpiece of romantic historical Caesar, blending medieval defensive architectural structures with the grand aesthetics of 19th century Romanticism. Structurally, the castle manifests a textbook chamber defense system designed to visually awe and militarily withstand intrusion. To enter, visitors must first navigate a formidable complex of outer ramparts. These consist of massive, star-shaped bastions and towering bulwarks built from heavy ashlar masonry, featuring sheer, steep angles that were virtually impossible to scale. Once past the initial outgate, a defensive, winding spiral ramp leads upward through dark. Fortified passageways lined with narrow sleeves and hidden gun emplacements. This clever ascent forces any approach into a bottleneck, requiring travelers to cross a heavy drawbridge and a second security gateway before finally emerging into the open courtyard. Upon entering this inner court, the architecture seamlessly transitions from a ruthless military shield into a romantic epic. The inner courtyard is surrounded by multi-story residential palaces, defensive towers, and independent temples. Stoller utilized an architectural language heavily influenced by the English New Gothic style, characterized by steeply pitched slate roofs, heavily decorated oriel windows projecting from the facade, and slider, sky-piercing pinnacles. These vertical lines elongate the structure, making it appear to float majestically above the mountain peak. Inside, the architectural opulence is breathtaking. The crown jewel of the interior is the Count's Hall, a grand space designed in the style of a medieval secular basilica. Rows of massive, polished red-brown marble columns line the hall, supporting an intricate network of golden veined Gothic rib-vaulted ceilings. Grand, ported arched windows fitted with vibrant stained glass flood the polished granite floors with colored light, evoking a secret, imperial atmosphere. Adjacent to this hall lies the King's Suite, where the architectural services are covered in detail. Fallen murals depicting the Hohenzollern family tree, physically mapping out the family's lineage from ancient Swabian courts all the way to Prussian monarchs. The gamble paid off. In 1871, the Hohenzollerns reached the absolute zenith of their power. The Prussian kings became German emperors, Kaisers. They ruled a dominant military and industrial superpower. Inside the castle's treasury room, under a spotlight, sits the brilliant Prussian royal crown, glittering with 142 diamonds, pearls, and sapphire, representing the height of Hohenzollern's majesty. but history has a habit of beating back. In 1918, amidst the catastrophic defeat of World War I, the German Revolution erupted. The last Kaiser, Wilhelm II, was forced to abdicate. In flash, the family lost their throne, their empire, and their political power, and were sent into exile. Yet, through all the chaos of the 20th century, the rise and fall of the Weimar Republic, the horrors of World War II, and the division of Germany, this castle remained in the private hands of the family. It became a sanctuary for their history. In 1945, at the close of World War II, Crown Prince Wilhelm was buried here. Today, Burg Hohenzollern is no longer a symbol of imperial intimidation. It welcomes over 300,000 visitors a year from across the globe. People walk along the massive stone battlements, standing before the bronze statue of past emperors. Every evening, as the sun begins to set, painting the Swabian sky in deep shades of amber and white, the castle's light flicker on, illuminating the new Gothic silhouettes against the twilight. A monument frozen in stone, a dynasty faded into history. Yet the crown in the clouds lives on. Though empires fall and crowns tarnish, the fairy tale on the hill remains forever untouched by time. Thank you for your time for watching. If you like, please share and subscribe. See you next episode.